Something that must be understood is that Japan sees things differently than Westerners. This has been especially evident in video games, where for a time, it was one of the biggest countries producing games, and many of its products were released across the American and European continents. This entailed an adaptation to the countries that comprise these regions, because they have a very different way of interpreting certain things, actions, expressions, and symbols. The Japanese are somewhat more open to certain topics. This, at least, was the case from the 90s to the mid-2000s. As a result, many games were either released with changes so significant that they became a different game entirely, or, in the best-case scenario, with only slight alterations. But even with this, some titles still manage to come out that we can classify as strange, bizarre, or disturbing. One game that perfectly encompasses all three of these conditions is Stretch Panic, which is the name it was given in America, while in Europe and Oceania, it was released under the name Freak Out. This game was developed by Treasure, a Japanese company that isn't very well known, but has games that have become classics, especially for Sega consoles. One of their hallmarks is creating games with unique gameplay, but at the same time, they feature a surrealist comedy typical of Japan. It was distributed by different companies across various regions. In America, it was handled by Conspiracy Entertainment, which is relatively obscure and hasn't brought out many major or popular games. This game was released exclusively for the PlayStation 2, launching in 2001, meaning it was one of the first games released on Sony's second console. This title is the company's first venture into a 3D environment. Previously, they had worked in 2D. Although the title is referenced as an action-adventure and platformer, this only applies to small portions of the game, as the main focus is boss battles, so it's more of a boss rush. The story begins with a little girl named Linda, who has a scarf that is her favorite object. She has 12 sisters who are obsessed with beauty and perfection, treating little Linda as the errand girl. One morning, a mysterious box arrives at their doorstep via courier. Upon opening it, a great evil is released, 13 demons of vanity. 12 of them kidnap and take control of the sisters, while the demon meant for Linda ends up trapped in her scarf. These malevolent entities take their hosts to another dimension. Since our protagonist has total control of the demon trapped in her garment, she decides to go to this strange place where she must free her family by exorcising them while fighting against them and their greatest fears, traumas, and desires. The game has very particular mechanics. Aside from moving around, everything else is done through our scarf, which has the power to pinch and stretch everything. This means that to reach a slightly higher place, you must perform a certain move with the demon, grabbing the floor, pulling it, and being drawn toward it. This launches you forward to reach your objective. The same applies to dealing damage. You have to find a weak point and pull it, whether you launch yourself toward it or let go so it snaps back like a rubber band, which deals different amounts of damage. You can even throw various objects. One stick moves you around the map, while the other moves the scarf to aim. But to make things easier, you can lock onto enemies to prevent them from getting lost. To begin, you enter levels from a hub world with doors. In this place, you can save and enter the enemy gallery. There are two types of levels, EX levels. In these, you'll only find one type of enemy, women with huge busts, wearing different colored bikinis that indicate the type of attack they will perform. Their weak point is their head, and by pulling on it, you destroy them and earn points. These points allow you to open boss doors and face them, and they also let you activate a special attack that costs 5 points, allowing you to exorcise the enemy and pull out the demon at any time. The EX levels are necessary, but many of them don't complement the game. You only enter them to get the required points to continue. As you progress, these become more difficult, so it's common to just do the first one, finish it, and go fight your demonic sisters. The demons formed from the sisters are creatures that represent certain conditions or tastes of theirs, and their attacks or phases reference these traits. From pyromania, a love of science or fiction, bipolarity, among other conditions. For example, there's Demonia, who is obsessed with horror and transforms into an entity that you must prevent from entering the house, hitting her just as she tries to get through the blocked entrances. So her tastes and attacks are the disturbing part, as one can deduce that some of these sisters have suicidal or homicidal inclinations and other psychological conditions. The bosses, and you have a similar health indicator, a star. Each hit and action results in dealing more damage, classified into 3 colors, and each color has a damage percentage. You deal maximum damage when you are very precise and hit them at specific moments and places. The sisters will have different attacks and patterns that can share the same condition, so you have to be very precise in knowing when and where to make an offensive move and when it's best to retreat. You can defeat them, but to move on, you must exorcise them, which requires spending points to perform the exorcism move. After that, you continue fighting and deplete their health to fully defeat them, which unlocks their model in the gallery, so you can view it in detail and distort it to your liking. The game is interesting in its gameplay style, and the boss fights are entertaining, as each one has its own shape, stage, and unique attacks. However, the controls end up being very imprecise, and the challenge of attacking at just the right moment has its complexity. I also feel this game would have benefited from a different type of control, like the Y mode. Had it been released on that console, it might have been much more enjoyable, but that didn't happen. The EX levels are awful, due to their monotony and the fact that they don't contribute anything to the story or the game. This game doesn't exactly shine for its platforming mechanics, which unfortunately are necessary in these sections. Furthermore, the limitation of the enemies becomes boring. At first, it might make you laugh, but seeing the same model over and over just creates that feeling of wanting to finish as quickly as possible to fight the bosses. It's a very obscure game. It's not bad, and its mechanics tend to be original, but I can't shake the feeling that this is more of a project or an experiment rather than a fully realized idea that shouldn't have been released as is. A somewhat strange game, as it flew well under the radar compared to other titles. It's surprising to me that no one has made creepypastas about it, since this title has a lot of material to work with. A game that might be a curiosity, but nothing that makes you question why you didn't know about it before. That is Stretch Panic. Wait, don't leave just yet. If you still want to keep watching more video game content, I invite you to check out the channels of the Abadia Retro community, where you will find much more information about this topic and of which I am a part. You can easily access it by just looking for the channel of your interest in the description. I hope you liked the video. If so, give it a like. If you know someone who might enjoy it, share it on your social media, and don't forget to subscribe if you like the channel. If you have any questions, suggestions, or just want to comment something, don't hesitate to do so in the comments box. Also, if you're a big fan of this channel, activate the notification bell to be among the first to see the videos. Thank you very much for watching this video. See you next time. Bye.